It is my honor and esteemed privilege, really, to introduce our keynote speaker tonight. And I really can't introduce him without giving you guys a little bit of a background or a history to understand the culture that this man has created at my old high school, York High School in Elmhurst, Illinois. Now, if you were growing up in Elmhurst, everybody knew about York cross country. You just knew about it. Why? Because they had 8 state championships when I got there. We were a dynasty at that point. Everybody looked at us as being the echelon, the upper echelon of cross country. So when I got to my freshman year, I walked into my gym class, and this is 1981. I'm 14 years old. We're sitting at York, this big high school, 2,500 students, and this booming voice comes into my gym class looking for recruits for his cross-country team. And he walked in, and he picked out the littlest guy in the room. Vic Baez, by the way, if you remember him. And Vic was actually shorter than me, believe it or not. There are people that are smaller than me. And he looked at him, and he just said, you give me 4 years of your life, and I'll make you a state champion. And we all believed him. Why? Because we had 8 state champions at that, or 8 state championships titles at that point. Of course we believed him. Well, we went on and won our 9th state championship then. That was 1981. Getting old, can't remember. Then in my sophomore year, we won a state again. Junior year, we won it again. And by my senior year, we were going for a record 5 in a row at that point. And you guys have to understand what cross country is at York, because people just, you know how people go out and see football games like most of your high schools. Well, at York it's different. Cross country is what it's all about. And you all want to be a part of it. Everybody does. The whole school is a part of the team. And so much so that on the day of the state meet, 17 buses lined up in front of the school at 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday in November to pick up about 800 students who would come down to watch our team go to their 5th straight state championship. And that is amazing that you're getting a third of the school, basically, showed up to get on buses to go down and cheer our team on to victory. But there's more to it than that, because we all get down there. And imagine if you're on one of the opposing teams. Okay, they're out there. They're lucky to get their mom and dad to come out and watch them. And then 17 buses of yelling, screaming kids come rolling in there, and they're like, oh, geez, York's here again. But that's what it was, because we had done it. This man had created this culture that everybody, the whole school, wanted to be a part of it. And the interesting thing about it is he did it with people who were probably just like the littlest guy in the class. Because most of the athletes at the time, they're all going out for football because they all want to be in the glory sports. So he's taken the kids who were either too small, too weak to play football, and he's turning them into state champions. That's an amazing thing. But wait, I got to continue, because once we won our 5th straight state championship, record-setting, after that, we go to the Peoria High School there for the awards ceremony, and everybody gets up there, and they're all in their, the winning teams are all in their track suits and everything. Not our guys. Our guys are in tuxedos. Why? You want to be a winner? You dress like a winner. You do everything like a winner. He truly taught that it's excellence in everything you do. It's not just one thing, everything. And that's what leads you to success. And now, if you're a spectator like me, after the ceremony, we're all driving the 2.5 hours back from Peoria. We get back into Elmhurst, and that 17 busload convoy turns into a parade. Through town, 9 o'clock at night, we're driving through town. People are coming out of their houses to wave and cheer and such, as all of us are hanging out the windows and just going crazy. It's an amazing thing. The whole community got around it. And in order to be able to create a culture like that, you have to have a strong individual who can really show all these kids what they are capable of doing. And that's a wonderful thing. And that's why I want to bring on, so everybody, Coach Joe Newton.
Wow. Thank you, Tim. That was terrific. Is this mic on?
It's your turn. Yeah.
I better turn it on?
Go ahead.
Hey, oh my God. Wow. Thank you. Wow. I've given this speech over 5,000 times. That's the first time that ever happened. 2,500 to coaches and 2,500 to business people. And you're probably thinking Tim's smoking pot. Why would he bring a high school guy in here? What do I know? But every principle that I believe in to run my team, same principles you can use in your profession. We get 225 guys on our cross-country team, and only 7 of them get to run at a state meet. How the heck do we get all the rest of them? Salesmanship. When I go into that gym class, every year we get 100 freshmen. Other people have 20 guys on their whole team. This year I had 20 managers. Everybody wants to be part of the team. They thought we were going to win the state this year. We didn't, and then they didn't get a patch, but they came out. So the things that I do about sales, that's what you do. And I heard the other lady just say the word team. And people always talk about team, but they really don't know what team is all about. So I want to tell you, not to brag, a little bit about our team. My group, 6 guys, there's about 100 guys in it. It's all the fat guys that couldn't make football. It's all the short guys that couldn't make basketball. It's all the wackos in the school. But you know what? They're part of the team. I said, if you guys dog it every day, how can the big guys that get you your letter and your state patch and they're working hard every day to see you guys jerking around? So your job is to come out here and do what you can. And then Tim mentioned a word that is so key. People that don't know what's going on at York don't get it. We have a culture at York High School. I mean, culture. And I'm trying to tell you that so you can get that same culture here so you can have a team. Our culture is based on excellence. We now have 27 state titles, 11 seconds, and 4 thirds. So we've gotten 42 trophies in 50 years. Some schools never get any. Our culture is based on excellence. It's based on hard work. It's based on integrity. It's based on tender, loving care. And it's based on Marine Corps discipline, which to you is you got to come to practice every day. You got to come to practice every day on time. And you got to come to practice every day and do something to make yourself better or our team better. And we have that culture. And those guys in Group 6, they can't run a mile in 12 minutes. I got guys that run 4:12, 4:18, 4:14, 4:15. These guys are running 12 minutes. But they feel part of that team because we have this culture. And when we win, we all win. And when we lose, we all lose. So I want to tell you one thing that stands out of my mind from this speech all these years. 85% of success in your life is directly attributable to your attitude. Now I want to digress for a minute. I got down here today. I went to the doctor this morning, like you don't care less, but at 7:30 in the morning, a guy shot me about 150 times with cortisone or da-da-da. I'm so stiff I can't walk. So my good friend Tom Arnold, where are you at, Tom? Raise your hand. Are you out there? He is way over there. A nice hand for Tom Arnold. Drove me here today. And when you're my age, 82, you're happy as hell to be anywhere, okay? So I could hardly wait to come here and talk for Tim, and his buddy Hemingway is out there. I had a nickname for him, but I don't want to mention it with the ladies here, but they're 2 York guys, and I have a nickname for every guy on my team. And this year, we had 225 guys, and I forgot one freshman. About the 3rd day of practice, he came to me and he said, Coach Newton, are you mad at me? I said, no, why, son? He's a little guy, about 5 foot, about 80 pounds. He said, you didn't give me a nickname. What's the matter? I said, give me till tomorrow. And so I got it. Now, I make every guy check in with me. I don't let a manager do that. And 90% of them will give me their nickname. And then I'll be looking for their real name, and they give me their nickname, and I get all fouled up. Okay? Sometime, I learned this from my children. My daughter's 52 now. Thomas is 47. John is 46. But when they were little guys, they used to say, Mommy, watch me. Daddy, watch me. Well, my guys are running somewhere between 50 and 100 miles a week. So every day, it's getting hard now with 200, 225 guys. I try to call out a guy's name at least one time so he knows that I'm watching him bust his butt for our school. Then when I check out, this is twofold. Number one, I want that personal touch. The guy's got to line up, shake my hand. You should see how they race to get in line and get the heck out of there. All right? Second thing is they don't realize this. I know then who ducked out of practice early because he didn't come and shake my hand so I can nail him the next day. But they don't know that, okay? So this is our culture. This is what goes on every day. And 85% of success is directly attributed to those guys on our team. Now, I got this card 45 years ago. I was at Fort Leonard Wood in the Army, and a buddy of mine 45 years ago sent me this Christmas card. I want to read it. It's pretty nice. I recently learned that in an average lifetime, a person like you and I walks about 65,000 miles. Now think about that. That's 2.5 times around the world. I wonder where your steps will take you, and I wonder how you'll use the rest of the miles that you're given. I've kept that, and I've said that to coaches. When I go to a coaching seminar, as soon as I get off the stage, here's the first thing they want to know. What's the secret workout? What are you doing over there at York that nobody else is doing? And I look at them and I say, there is no secret workout. I'm going to tell you what the secret of success as I go along. And I'm going to tell you some stories from my world that it'll light a fire, because if I don't glow myself, how can I light a fire under you? And you'll think of a story from your world that's complementing my world, and then you'll feel pretty good because you think you're thinking the same as I am, all right? When I was at Northwestern University, I graduated in 1951 and then got a master's in 52. In January 1st, 1949, Northwestern went to the Rose Bowl, and we played Cal Berkeley. And that's the only bowl game that Northwestern has ever won. That was January 1st, 1949. The line coach was a guy named John Kovach. In the PE Majors class, he taught us football. And because my name was Newton, he called me Figgy all the time, for Fig Newton. Figgy. And he loved to pull tricks on me for the whole class, and they all fell down laughing. But he was our line coach. And they were losing at halftime. And think about it, Northwestern and Cal Berkeley, those were two academic institutions. University of Cincinnati, I hope there's nobody that went there, but their basketball team, I don't think has graduated a guy in 40 years. They come and they go. So here we are, these two academic giants, we're losing. The guys came into the locker room, and here was this big sign on the wall. It said, "You have a long time to live yet. Will you always want to remember or try to forget?" That magic went out into the game. In the last 45 seconds, my track roommate, Eddie Tunnicliffe, ran down the sideline 45 yards. Northwestern won. Now, why do I bring that up? Because I want magic to be in this room today, that you'll always want to remember the speech instead of saying, that guy was brutal. Why the hell did Tim bring him in here? Okay? Now think about this. 3 things are going to happen today, and every one of them is going to be dynamite for you, 2 for me. First thing, I say something, and that's my purpose. If I can leave every person, man or woman here today, with one thing that's going to make you a better salesman, executive, mother, father, whatever, human being, I reach my goal. I want to leave everybody with one thought. So, I say something new, you like it, you feel great. I feel better because I helped you. Then I say something, think how many times you've done this. The speaker says something that you're already doing, and you think, God, I'm doing pretty good. I know what he's doing, I'm doing that. And so it re-solidifies your thinking, and you feel terrific. I feel good. Then the last thing is, if I'm so brutal that you say, if that guy can win, anybody can win, and you really feel good. But I feel lousy. So I brought up the Northwestern, and I still have that sign. Tom Arnold knows that. It's 60-some years old. And I rolled it out right in my room before we go out in the state meet course, and there it is. Got a long time to live yet. Will you always try to remember? Not have to forget. Okay? I know a lot of people won't be listening because I'm not in your area, but I'm trying to promote something that you'll think about it and pull your chain so that you can do some good things for your organization. I lived in, my wife and I, in Oak Brook, Illinois for 28 years. Oak Brook, Illinois has got that big polo club. The Maharajas are coming in every summer from India, and horses and all that stuff. It's the 3rd richest community in America. On my block, there were 5 millionaires. I was a teacher at York making about 25 grand, okay? 3 children, wife. I was the only happy guy on my block. Over here was a multimillionaire owning a castle in Ireland. He was worried about people breaking his castle up when he wasn't there, okay? Stan Mikita, the Blackhawks, was 4 houses down. He was always sad because the Hawks wouldn't hire him as a coach. Right next to him was a Greek guy that owned about 8 condos, and he was worried people were stealing the TV sets, all that stuff. And then right next to me was a doctor, and he was a cancer doctor in Elmhurst, and he was always happy. He wanted more people to get cancer so he could make more money. And then back here was an Italian guy, and he was in the trucking industry. And if you're in that in Chicago, you're in with the syndicate. And I was always worried that a bomb had hit his house and ruined my pool. And then over here was a Jewish lawyer who was the lawyer for the Restaurant and Waiters Union in Las Vegas. And I was worried that a second bomb would really take my house out with that guy. But my point is, money cannot buy success. Okay? And here's a word that's popping into my mind, but I'll wait for just a minute. Anybody that talks on a speech for more than 5 minutes, no matter how hard you're trying to listen, you're only going to hear 25% of all the things I'm trying to get to you today. And within 24 hours after you leave the room, 66% of the 25 is gone. 30 days from now, you're going to forget, unless you write it down, you're going to forget everything that went on in this room. So I'm just trying to leave you with one point. Think about this. If each one of you went out and told 2 other people about today, and they told 2 other people, and you take that to the 20th power, I would touch 1 million lives today by being here for Tim. If you want to get really crazy, you take it to the 40th power, and we touch everybody in the world. Wow. So I got a tough job today, okay? I mean that. Now, the first day of practice, every year, this is my 56th year, I just finished at York, and by the way, I only missed 1 day in 56 years for illness. How can that be? I love my job. I have a passion for my job. I don't make much money, but I'm happy. The happiest people I know are people that are helping other people. How about all these guys that make, who's that guy that just stole $1.3 billion and he was on TV last night and said, I don't know where the money went. Whew. Wow, I'm not in that world. But anyway, let me just go on and say this. 3 things that I say to my guys. Tom Arnold knows this. He could give my speech over better than I. Men, there's 3 things in our culture that are going to make us great. 3 questions. I got to ask each one of you guys. If you can say yes to all 3 questions, we're halfway there. Then you can ask me the same 3. And if I can say yes, we got something going. Okay? Here's my first question. Can I trust you? Wow. Think of that word. I had lunch with one of my old runners, Gilbert Castellanos, the other day. He graduated 30 years ago. He said, you remember when I had you come up and talk to all the guys at Sears? I said, yeah. He said, the one word I remember you talked about was trust. Can you trust your boss? Can you trust your compadres? Wow. That's almost a lost word in our society. You can't trust. How about our great governor? Can you trust that guy? Not a bit. I say, men, you can trust me. You can tell me things you wouldn't tell your parents because you know I won't rat on you. Okay. Question 2. Are you committed to excellence? I say, this last summer, I get up every day at 4:30, 6 days a week, to get into the park by 7 to be on time for summer practice. I'm committed. Are you? And then here's the biggie. I said, listen, man, do you care about me? Because I love every one of you guys, from the biggest, fattest guy in Group 6 to my 410 miler, all the same. I love you guys. Do you care about me? Trust, commitment, and caring. That's true in your society. Tim, can you trust your boss? I think the boss is here. Okay? Wow. Think about that. It's amazing. Now, for about 25 years, we ran a big track meet in June every year. It was called, when it started out, it was called a IPI, International Prep Invitational. And then they dropped us, Sears, and then we got Keebler, and it became the Keebler International. It was like a Olympic Games for high school seniors from all over the world. We got the first juniors under 20 to come out of Cuba and came to York High School for this meet. And we always had a banquet at the night up by O'Hare Field at one of the big hotels there. And about 30 years ago, we brought in a speaker. His name was W. Clement Stone. He's now gone, but he was the owner of Combined Insurance Company. And at the moment he got to the dais, he was worth $500 million. And I was making 25 grand at York and happy as a lark. Now, when he came to the dais, Tim, he was about 5'1". So it was like this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people, how you doing? You couldn't see the guy. In addition to which, he was an egomaniac. He was supposed to talk for 3 minutes. He talked for 45 minutes. There were 500 people when he got done. There was me, the guy that introduced him, and about 3 people. That was it. Everybody left. But he said 4 things that day that I want to bring to you that I wished I could sell them. I'd be a multimillionaire. He said, people, do it now. What's human nature? Well, I'll get to my homework tomorrow. Well, maybe next week I'll run on Sunday. I'm too tired this week. You always put things off. You go to college, you don't study for your test till it's too late. And then one day he said that really caught my attention. I came here today for Tim to dare every man and woman here to be the greatest you can be. He said, I dare you to be great. I said, I think I'll try. Good things have happened. Here's the third thing he said. And I'm 82 now. He was only about 75 then. He said, I feel healthy. I'm healthy. Terrific. Now, I won't make you do it, but he made us all stand up. Say it. Healthy, happy, terrific. Not good. We had to do it about 10 times. By that time, we were blowing the ceiling off the place. He said, healthy, happy, terrific. Remember I said you can't start a fire on anybody else if you don't blow it yourself. Okay? And here's the last thing. Whatever the human mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And I'm harping on that to my athletes all the time because most people just give up. 95% of all the guys that I've worked with in 56 years are less than 5'8", and they weigh less than 150 pounds. They're not big NBA guys, NFL guys. They're little mighty mites that come out. You work them hard. You give them tender, loving care. And that's what I want to digress to right now. The secret is not the workout in my profession. The secret is the relationship that you have with your athletes. For you, it would be the relationship you have with your customers, the relationship you have with your coworkers, the relationship you have with your bosses. I said, there's no secret workout. Here's the deal. If a kid knows, he doesn't want to, I was an Olympic coach in '88, okay? They don't care. You could be an Olympic athlete. They don't care. You could have 2 doctor's degrees, exercise physiology. They don't care until one thing happens. They know that you care about them. You could be the dumbest coach in America, and they know you care about them. They'll follow you to hell and back. They will. That's the way you got to be with your people. You can't have a culture. You can't have a team unless you got all of those things. Trust, commitment, caring, and things will fall into place for you. When I say this to coaches, they think I'm really smoking pot. I say, you know what, men and ladies, there's genius in every single one of you that's facing me here today. And you can take a dream, you get a goal, and you can climb to the top of any mountain. Abraham Lincoln, I must have 20 books on Abraham Lincoln, said in 1862, now listen to this. God must have liked the common man and woman because he sure made a lot of people in this world like you and I. If Abraham Lincoln can say that, I can say it. I took psychology at Northwestern, and I found out in that class that 99% of the people in the world, like you and I, use 1% of the ability the good Lord gave you. 1%. Everybody here in this room is born with 100 billion brain cells. I don't care if you're man, woman, white, black, brown, blue, all the same. And yet, 1%. Then somebody comes along and puts out 3%, and we say, the guy's a genius. Wow, 3%. Think about that. Now, in that psychology class, our textbook, this is way back in now, 1948, 49, was a guy named Dr. William James, who was the father of American psychology. And here's what he said one day. I read in a book, and the prof asked, "What'd you find out, Newton?" He said, "I've never, ever known another human being in this world that's put out more than 10%. And I was a 18-year-old sophomore, and I said to myself that day, "Tom Arnold, I don't think you know this. I want to try to be one of those 10% guys the rest of my life." And I got to be an Olympic coach, and we won a few championships at York, and I'm helping people. I have 30 boys that are out coaching now. They're taking the baton and running with it. Okay? Second thing I learned in that class. Think about this. Dr. William James said, if a person can change their attitude, they can change their whole life. That's the one you don't want to forget. If you change your attitude, you can change your whole life. Okay? I'm going to tell you about a baseball guy. I don't know anything about baseball. I was flying to Atlanta 15 years ago, and I was reading the USA Today, and there was a story in about baseball. And I didn't know squat about baseball. But there was a left-handed pitcher for the Phillies, Steve Carlton. His last couple of years he came to the Cubs. He couldn't win a game. But in his career, he won 309 games, left-hander. About 10 years ago, he went into the Hall of Fame. And in that article I was reading, they said, "How did you do that?" He said, "I was able to discipline myself during the hard times." Can you do that? I remember when I first came to York, we had homeroom. One period a day, I had to come out of the gym and go up to homeroom. An English teacher, lady, was teaching there. Hell, she was absent 2 or 3 times a week. Headache, backache, fingernail hurt. Just 56 years, I missed one day for illness. So you have to discipline yourself. I say to my athletes, anybody can run good when they feel good. It's the guys that come to practice when they don't feel good and run. You get more benefit than the guy that's really running hard because he feels great. Same way in your business. You're going to hang in there. You're going to go to work when you don't feel like it. You're going to get up out and do what you got to do. All right. They once asked Danny Ainge, who was on those great Boston Celtic teams as a guard with Larry Bird, all those guys, and he's now the general manager. And one time they asked him, "Danny, what's the difference between guys like Magic and Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, all the other guys?" He said, "Well, all the guys like me, we just go out and play a little bit. We have a little fun, and we show up." He said, "But every time Magic and Bird and Michael come, they come to win." I told my guys this year, and we failed this year. 3 guys ran great, 4 guys, and we got 4th. We didn't get a trophy. That's like a funeral at York High School. You don't wear the tuxes. If you don't get a trophy, no tuxes. They never got out of the bus. We came home, and guys were crying. Most schools get 4th, and they take a day off. But the bar is so high at our school, it's just kind of amazing. I said, "Men, we have to go down there this year, and we go down to win. If you're going down to hope to win, you won't win." I had 3 guys went down to win. They were in the top 30. We had to meet one. 4, 5, 6, 7. Didn't believe. I'm trying to get you to believe when you leave this room today. Now, there's a pretty famous Irish playwright, Tom Arnold. I'm sure you heard of George Bernard Shaw. And he once said, if you live the impossible or dream the impossible dream long enough, it becomes possible. Now, when I was about 20 years old, I started dreaming that I knew I wasn't good enough to be an Olympic athlete, but I wanted to be an Olympic coach. No high school before 1988 coach had ever been on an American Olympic staff. And for some god-awful reason, I got chosen to go to Seoul, South Korea, 1988. We got 9 gold medals, the most America had gotten in a long time. And I kept thinking to myself, why? Dreamed this for 40 years, and the impossible dream happened. So I'm a living example of what George Bernard Shaw said. You could be the same. Maybe there's an Olympic coach here that's selling. You might go to the Olympics. Who knows? If you got something, you can sell them. Okay? Here's the story. I got 2 quick stories, and then I'm out of here. First one is the Sarah story, and this would have never happened if I had not been an Olympic coach. Actually, I was an assistant coach. They had the trials in Indianapolis, Indiana in July of 1988. If you've ever been to Indianapolis, Indiana in July, it's about 150 degrees in the shade and the humidity is about 90%. The Olympic Committee's got their head in a certain, they don't know what the hell they're doing because we should have never been there. It got so hot that they had to run all the distance events at night with water hoses spraying on them. Okay? That's how bad it was. It's a terrible place to hold it. Well, after the first night, it was 9 o'clock at night, and all the big shots on our team, they all had cars and chauffeurs and massage therapists and all the coaches. We had to walk. And it was about a 2-mile walk to the hotel. So everybody left the stadium, and I'm sitting there, and I suddenly realized I had a high school teammate I hadn't seen in about 10 years. So I went out on the catacombs, and I got a phone book, and I found his name. So I called him. It's about 9:15 at night. I said, Mac, Joe Newton, I'm in town. He said, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm on the Olympic staff. Oh, my God, you got to come home. Come to right now. Here's how you get to my house. Get a cab. I want you to meet my daughter Sarah. She's 10 years old. So I think I'm going to go see a normal 10-year-old. You know, my daughter at that time was probably about 18, whatever. So I get over there. It's now 9:30. So I come in, and he goes, I don't remember the wife's name even. But he said, honey, bring Sarah out to meet the coach. I said, wow. All of a sudden, they come around, and Sarah is in a wheelchair with a little flat place on top. She was born with no legs, one arm. With that one arm, she's playing solitaire. Now, I'm right here. They park her right there. Mom and Dad are right there. And we're chit-chatting. She's bubbly. She's happy. And I'm thinking, how can anybody that's 10 years old, has no legs and one arm, be happy? So as I got up to leave, I said, Sarah, honey, how can you always be so happy? Now, if you're sleeping, wake up. This is the whole speech right here. She said, well, that's easy, Mr. Newton. Every day that I get up, I do the very best I can with what I got. And I thought to myself, hell, I don't do that. And I got 2 legs and 2 arms. 23 years ago. It's still, I haven't got back to Max. She's probably, if she's alive, 33, somewhere in that area. Whoo! I was so stunned, I waited 3 more days before I went back. I went back after the last distance run at night. It was the last event. I called Mac, went back over, and same story. Got to be about 10:30, and Mama says, all right, Sarah, say bye to Coach, you got to leave. I said, well, Sarah, wait a minute. Do you have any goals in life? Oh, she said, well, didn't my dad tell you? I said, no, hon, that's what I'm asking. She said, well, for the last 3 months, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, my mama bundles me up, puts me in our car, special for me, and my daddy drives me to the YMCA. Now, in 1947, I swam in that pool in the YMCA National Championship. The pool was 20 yards long and 10 yards wide, 30 feet, okay? Now, I made a mistake because here's what I said to that little girl. Sarah, honey, that's a great goal. I know you can swim the width of that pool down at the shallow end. I no longer was Coach Newton or Mr. Newton. She says, man, you don't get it. I said, what? She says, I don't want to be down at the shallow end. I want to be down at the deep end where all the big guys are. I looked at the old man. I said, what about it? He says, Coach, I take her down to the deep end. I drop her. She takes a stroke or 2. I got to go get her. We've been going 3 months. Now, keep track of how long this takes. Let me set you up so you realize. I was there. It was 30 feet. You could dive in, take no strokes, just dive in, and you'd be over there in 4 seconds. If you could swim, dive in, 1, 2. You're over there in 2 seconds. She'd been going for 3 months. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The old man said to me, hey, I know my daughter. Give me a year. You call me back. I gave him 10 months. Now we're in 1989. Back, how is it? 13 months now, remember? 10 and 3. He said, Coach, she's at the 3/4 mile mark. Give me another 10 months. She's going to make it. I gave him 10 months. I called back, so that's 10, 10, and 3. 23 months. You could do it in 2 to 4 seconds. I called him. He said, Coach, she made it down at the deep end. Where do you want to be in life? Down at the shallow end with all the losers? You want to be up on top, all the winners. You got to make that choice. See, life is choices. I tell my athletes, God, you got to be so careful with the choices you make now. Look at all these choices that are going, all these things in the paper every day. Some cab driver, how about in town, a week or so ago, was waiting for somebody to come out to take him, and some guy goes and shoots him in the head and shoots a lady standing there and almost killed her. I don't know what's happening, but good things are not happening. Here's my final story, also because of the Olympics. Our high jumper that year was a gal named Louise Ritter. And in college, she went to Texas Women's University. This is for the ladies, okay? She graduated. She moved to Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is 45 minutes up the road, up 294. And I used to see her name all the time. I didn't know her, but she was a pretty good high jumper. Well, she made our Olympic team. And she jumped, high jumped 6'8", a woman. That's still the American record, all these years later. Now, I'm on a plane going to Japan for our training camp before we went to Korea. And I'm reading the USA Today, and it says, Louise Ritter, they only give 3 medals in the Olympic Games, gold, silver, bronze. For the whole world, 3. Louise is going to get the bronze medal. She went 6'8". There's the East German that went 6'9", and there's a Russian that went 6'10", new world record. Okay, so now when you're the only high school coach on Olympic staff, it's like being a PFC in the Army. You get all the crummy jobs, carry the shots, carry the pole, put motivation on the wall, yell at guys that butt in line. My coaching assignment was take care of the marathon guys. We'd take them out with guard dogs and machine guns, and they'd go out running in the hills. And that was my job, one of them. And then the next one was make sure we get all our guys to the line on time. And then the last one was I was the photographer. They gave me this beautiful camera. Now, the day of the high jump, there's 100,000 people in the stands. 99,000 are Koreans, and then there's a few Americans in the stands. Me, my wife, our other coaches. And the high jump was down at the other end. And they had a guard every aisle. Now, Koreans are shorter than I am, which is hard to believe. They're like Tim. So I got my camera, and I bulldogged my way about 34 aisles down. Boom, boom. Now I got down, I went down the aisle, and all the Koreans are looking at me, and I'm right there, and there's the high jump pit right out there, about 30 feet away, and I got my camera. All right? Now, there's 3 gals left in a high jump after about 5 hours, okay? And it's hotter than a son of a gun. It's about 100 degrees. The sun is blasting down. Louise Ritter, the Russian, the East German. The bar goes to 6'8". God, the Russian, the 6'10" gal, goes out. Louise made 6'8", the East German made 6'8". So now Louise, I figured, well, she's going to get the silver medal. I read that article, she can't win. Son of a gun. They both try 6'9", they both miss. So in the Olympic Games, then you come back down. Whoever makes that height, they don't make it, you go back down an inch until somebody makes it, okay? So the East German jumps, she misses. Now, Louise Ritter was one of those visualization gals, and she's only about, from that lady right there to me, looking to run that way to jump. And I got my camera right there. Well, they have a traffic light on right on the tarmac. When you get over there, the green light is on. And as it gets up about a minute and a half, the yellow light comes on. At 2 minutes, the red light comes on. If you haven't jumped, that's a miss. Well, she's over there doing all this, talking to herself, raise your leg, run a arc, think, I'm going, Jesus Christ, 145, boom, 10-step run up. I got it on my camera. She took off too far from the bar. So out in front of the bar, she was up about 7 feet. But then she came down, and she came down, her ankle scraped the bar. Everybody in the stands went, complete silence. She's laying on her back in the pit, and the bar's going. It stuck. Louise Ritter, America, Olympic champ. Wow. And she went, oh, God, thank you. She was like Tebow. Oh, God. That's a true story. 6 months later, I go to Jonesboro, Arkansas, to lecture at a track clinic. Now, ladies, don't ever go to Jonesboro, Arkansas on your honeymoon because it's like where Jesus lost his gym shoes down there. It's brutal. They had a track meet the night before on Friday. I see Louise there. And she's such, I got to sit down for a minute. She's such a lovely lady. She didn't know me from Adam. I said, Joe Newton, I was the men's assistant. Oh, yeah, I remember you. How you doing? I said, Louise, I got to ask you a question. When I was coming back from Seoul, flying back to L.A., I read in the paper that you were in depression. I said, how the heck could you be in depression? You just won the Olympic championship. She said, let me tell you about that. I was 32 years old at the time. She said, my life dream, I trained 17 years to be the Olympic champ. I made my goal. What am I going to do the rest of my life? She went into depression. When she told me that, I remember from my philosophy class at Northwestern, Aristotle said 2,000 years ago, life is only meaningful if you're striving for a goal. I'm thinking about Louise. Wow. So I said, you're pretty happy now. You've jumped 6'3". You won the meet. It's not 6'8". She said, oh, yeah. I'm not in depression anymore. I said, why is that? She said, I got a new goal in life. Oh, what is it? She said, I'm going to train 4 more years. 1992, they went to Barcelona. And I'm going to make the team, and I want to be the first woman to make 7 feet. And I said, Jesus, I got the picture. You were 7 feet out in front of the bar in Seoul. You can do it. So she went back to Kenosha, and she trained. And I went to the trials for the 92 Olympics. They were in Baton Rouge because I wanted to see Louise Ritter. She got hurt 2 weeks before the trials and never got the jump. But when she got that new goal, she changed her whole life. So my last thought to you is, when you leave this room today, you got to light a fire, you got to get along with people, you got to have a team, you got to have a culture, and every day that you go to your job, you got to do the best you can with what you got, and you think about that little Sarah in 1988. You have been just a marvelous audience, and I'm just stunned, and I'm happy to be here, and God bless you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Woo! Thank you. Wow. Thank you. God bless. Jesus. Thank you. Wow. And thank you, Tom Arnold, for getting me here. And his son made that movie, The Long Green Line. If you have not seen it, it's voted the 10th best sports documentary in history. And Tom Arnold's son made that movie. It's called The Long Green Line, and I think you go on Amazon.com, but I don't know about that. I only got a red pen.
Yeah.
I got to get out here. I can see Tim give me the hook. Thanks again. God bless. Woo! Thank you. Is it okay?